So another follow-on. This sometimes happens for me. I will put out a blog and then it triggers something and I get thinking and get things start processing internally. Another follow-on from the reflection on the appeal of RuPaul's Drag Race and similar shows. And one of the main ideas I put there was this idea that the drag queens, the queens, and the showgirls on Dancing with the Stars or whatever, they are the ones who are really drawing the attention. They're the ones that are really shining, showing off this light and glory, for want of a better word. Well, that's a very good word, but it might be a bit too much of an over-the-top word for it. But I put forward the idea maybe even there's some divine light for those who have a spiritual understanding that is shining through. Of course, making the point as well that we don't need to be portraying ourselves and presenting in such a exaggerated way in order for that light to shine. But it caused me to think: is this illuminating? What's the word? Illuminatory, I think it is. This ability to be the one that is the shining light, the one that takes the stage. Is this invariably, in Western culture at least, a role that is restricted to women, or indeed to the feminine? I think there's two separate things there, although of course they can overlap quite a lot. And in terms of women typically being or not typically, actually being the peacock sex in Western culture at least, and therefore the ones that do put on the show and do put on the appearance and take extra time with the grooming and so on, to lure a male partner typically. I think it makes sense that it would be women that are primarily, or the drag queen, or the this kind of caricatures, it may even be of femininity, that yes, is the one that will be able to take on that role typically. As it happened, since I recorded that last post, I was on another call. It was a spiritual thing I was involved with. We were reading a book, and which we do as like a book club thing. And there was a description of this was based back in first century times, of a woman who was spiritually enlightened on a ship, who had been formerly a prostitute, being lured, being coerced, should I say, by the captain of the ship to dance for him, and putting on, quite literally, a dance of the seven veils. So this whole thing was why she couldn't do it, and the build up to it was spread over a larger part of their voyage across the Mediterranean. They were on a ship, so she was essentially captive. And she did eventually do this dance, and she put on gave a lot of attention to beautifying herself, and was very skilled in the dance that she performed. Beautiful, fluent, flowing movements, which again I tend to associate with the feminine, that labeling of the feminine, and really enticing him and creating a kind of trance-like sense in this performance. I'm not going to be able to articulate the detail of what was quite a big chapter, but actually he became so entranced, and she was shining not just the physical, let's call it, beauty, but he could see her spiritual beauty coming through her eyes, I guess, and from a sort of felt sense of what she was putting across, and with it, the knowledge that she knew that she was fully in charge of what she was doing. She had full agency, and the eyes were saying to him, I see you, the horrible little man you are, who all you want is your wicked ways, but actually really you are the child here. You are the one that has a lot to learn. And not to give too much away, but he came to that realization actually, and found that his sexual prowess was diminished, and yeah, it was a big turning point and awakening for him. Now, of course, that isn't the way it always works in the world for women that are put in that position, but it did strike me that here is a situation where the dancer is the one who can be potentially in control if they are very solidly grounded and founded on their sense of who they are, the essence of what is going on, and who has, as it were, the upper hand in the dance. They are the ones who are calling the tune. So again, similar perhaps to some of those pageant queens when they are actually on the stage, even if backstage there's a lot of manipulation and coercion and all sorts of nasty things going on, in which it's typically the men who are who have the upper hand, as it were. But in this actual moment of the dance, they are the ones, I believe, who have this ability. So another little reflection there, but yes, something there that says to me, it is, as a female, typically in our culture at least, that you have the license, perhaps, and the ability and the physicality and the movements, the flow of the dance, the feminine flow of the dance, to play this role of this beautiful dancer who is leading and drawing, let's say, those who are dependent and those who are gullible, possibly, and those who do not know where they go, if I was to use some biblical language, or what they're doing. The one that has that knowledge that kind of transcends that purely carnal aspect of this performance. So maybe there too, that's something that appeals to me, and in wanting to play that role. I've never played the role of a belly dancer. My goodness, that would take a bit of effort, I think. But maybe that's one we can look into. But certainly some of these very glitzy, elaborate, sort of Victoria's Secret type costumes that some of the drag fraternity and pageant queens and so on present themselves in, and all of the kind of aura, the magic, the trance, enchanting, that's the word I was looking for, that can go on with that performance. Yeah, I'd certainly love to step into that role, I think. Anyway, another rambling, but perhaps it's yet another little piece of the jigsaw in our, it's far more than a 1,000-piece jigsaw that I find myself building in trying to explore this whole fascinating area of being trans. Maybe it's going to be a 2,000-piece by the time we finish. Another little piece, maybe, that might be added to the picture.